What's up, football fans, and welcome to another episode of the Bleav in Big Ten podcast presented by FanDuel. I am Brandon Brown, joined as always by Grant Perry, and today we have a very special guest. I mean, the hat speaks for. I don't even know if we need to say his name because the hat's representing well. But we have Rhett Louis joining us. He's a former Hoosier, so he's wearing that hat with pride. Obviously, NFL Network. Big Ten Network host, sideline reporter. So, Rhett, you've done a little bit of everything, including, like I said at the beginning, they're playing for Indiana. So you must just be flying high, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a pretty terrific 2-year run, that is for sure. And then obviously this year with a Big Ten title and undefeated season, we're witnessing, the best Indiana football season in the history of the program. My dad was a student at Indiana the last time they went to the Rose Bowl, played in 1968, lost to O.J. Simpson and USC. So just for context, like it's been a minute, and it feels really good to see them back in this spot once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got another wide receiver here, Grant. I mean, you guys, the brotherhood, man.
We stay close. Man.
No doubt.
So, Rhett, I mean, we had this podcast scheduled, whether incredible, insane bombshell news broke or not. So let's start right there. Grant is a former Wolverine. Yep. I've been covering Michigan for more than a decade now. And then, I mean, yesterday, just not out of the blue per se, because there had been some rumblings and some rumors, but I think the way it went and it just escalated, and there's been a lot of speculation. I think we're still waiting on some of the finer details, but Sherrone Moore is out. He's been fired at Michigan for an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. That much is official. The school reported that. And then, now he's in jail. I mean, yeah, this is crazy. I don't even know what question to ask other than just like, what were your thoughts when this stuff broke?
Well, first, I mean, I think a lot about Sherrone's family. I think a lot about 4 young kids that are hopefully not subjected to all of this. I think about his wife. I think about the staffer, the executive assistant. I think about the players, who are getting ready for a bowl game. I think there's a lot of a human side of this that is really going to take a toll on people. So like, honestly, those were my first thoughts. I know everyone's thoughts are about, all right, who's the next coach, right? We immediately shift to the what's next piece of it. But the human element of this is pretty wide in terms of impact. Think about the families on that staff. What's going to happen to them, right? Are they going to be kept around, or does the next coach come in and blow the whole thing out and all those guys have to start from scratch? So there's a lot of people. When you're a head coach, look, that's the responsibility that you take, is you're responsible for a lot of people. This is a massive operation. And if you end up going in whatever way, shape, or form, that puts the future of those other people in jeopardy too. So I think there's just a lot of human element of it. And then the next thing is, it was already a thin kind of head coaching cycle, if you will. So you're already way behind here, and now you're trying to get a big name from somewhere else, which is going to open up another opening somewhere. It's like the carousel is just going to keep on spinning here for a minute.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it too, that kind of along the lines of what you said, Rhett, was, immediately, because I have personal experience with Sherrone, under him and coached alongside of him. And it's really unfortunate that this transpired. And much like what you said, kind of the first thought was, man, like, the writing might have been on the wall. He might have felt the walls caving in a little bit, but from an outsider perspective, it's like, you wake up, you're the head coach of Michigan. You've already made a couple of staff changes. Like, you're kind of looking forward, and then 6 p.m. rolls around and you have your mugshot everywhere. Words really don't even describe it. I'm sure this is somewhat new territory for a lot of people covering this aspect of the game, of how it transpired in post firing, what transpired and all that. I have questions too, kind of what you said, Rhett, if this was kind of on the wall and they knew, did Sherrone have the opportunity to maybe let some guys know, hey, this is not going to go down well, or hey, if there's opportunities, maybe explore that. But lots to go into that, and just hearts out to all those affected. Like you said, the family, his young girls. Hopefully, they're at the age right now. They're very young, so hopefully they don't understand really what's going on right now.
Yeah.
His wife, really good person, met her along the way, and you feel for the players and the staff too, that kind of just are having to deal with the backlash.
I would agree with you, and refresh my memory too. Michigan does not have a sitting president at the moment. Is that right? Is there it's an interim president?
Correct.
All right. So you've got issues there. Ward Manuel is now presided over a lot of instability over the course of the last couple of years with the investigations and all that. Are they going to let him hire the coach?
There's some buzz right now that he might not have a job much longer.
Well, I wonder, even outside of that, I wonder if Michigan is, thinking outside the box already a little bit with how they want to do this. It sounds like they've known and had some runway to assess where this thing's going. Is there an alum out there that has, an evaluation slash administration background, that played there, that has been around the program, kind of in a way that Andrew Luck was with Stanford, and could come in and essentially be like the pseudo football AD / GM, come in, stabilize the program, hire a head coach, and then be aligned because look, I know Michigan basketball and Dusty May's doing a great job there, but it ain't football. And for as much money as basketball is going to spend, football is going to drive this thing. And it really is an entity all in its own. And I wouldn't be shocked if more programs take that model where there's some autonomy within the football program, and that football GM reports to the president or reports to, because like the model is becoming different, right? And so I think this is an opportunity for Michigan to really assess the way they want to do this thing moving forward.
I mean, there certainly are some big names when you talk Michigan alum. I mean, a lot of them have pretty cushy gigs at the moment.
That's true. Yeah.
Everybody, anytime
Tom Brady's walking through that door.
Yes. Anytime anything like this happens, it's like Tom Brady, Charles Woodson. It's like they make like 10 and 20 million a year just covering.
Yeah. You ain't paying that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so with all that being said, I mean, you guys, you nailed it. I mean, the ripple effects and the real world ramifications of this with people's personal lives and well-being and all that is certainly at the forefront. But Michigan does have a bowl game in 3 weeks. Like they got to get something figured out right now. Biff Poggi is the interim head coach. He did that earlier this year. Things looked pretty good when he was running the show for a minute. There was even some people that were like, yo, where was this offense when Sherrone was running and calling plays or what, Grant and I have gone back and forth on that a bunch on whether was it really Chip Lindsey's offense? How much was Sherrone doing when it comes to calling plays and personnel and all that good stuff? So that leads to the natural discussion, Rhett, that you kind of hinted at, and who is going to be the next coach at Michigan? Whether they figure the thing out at president, and whatever happens with Ward Manuel, the athletic director, they need someone to stand on the sidelines with a headset on. And right now we don't know exactly who that's going to be on December 31st. For today, it's Biff Poggi, but moving forward, it's going to have to be someone else likely. Who do you think? I mean, there's some names out there. I want to hear what you say first before I throw some names. So I'm just curious what you've been hearing, what you think.
I think on the surface, I think to me it's bonkers to expect Kalen DeBoer to leave Alabama and come to Michigan. But look, we've seen blue blood to blue blood moves before. Brian Kelly, Notre Dame to LSU, Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma to USC. But gosh, I mean, Lane Kiffin, obviously. And I don't know that we put Ole Miss necessarily in that category, but close enough. They're in the CFP. So I just think I think it's crazy that Kalen DeBoer would be mentioned there as wanting to leave. I mean, look, I don't know all the things that have gone on there, but on the surface, you're like, the head coach of Alabama is going to leave for any reason or any job. You know what I mean? On his own volition. Sure. If you're shooting for the stars, like, Steve Sarkisian, is like, are there, it seems crazy to think about blue blood head coaches leaving for that job. Not to say that it's not a great, Michigan isn't a great job. It is. And it's got great appeal and it's got great resources, but still, like, they have those things where they are. So why would they leave? I guess is my question. The one thing that I would look at, but I'm not sure if it's too tainted in all of the recent turmoil that Michigan has faced, but like Jesse Mentor, the DC with the Chargers, like, is there a thought there? That would be one that would make some sense. He's done really well in LA. Jed Fish at Washington seems like one that has familiarity there. I don't know how that would be received, but I think he's a phenomenal coach. And look, Michigan needs to build this thing back up. Like, it's not right now where it has been, where it was when they were winning a national title and playing for national titles. And he has built programs up. Did it at Arizona, and to a certain extent, when he lost 21 of his 23 starters, did it at Washington too. So those are a couple of things that I would consider.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And speaking on that, like, it's tough for Michigan because they're at a place right now where it was one of kind of a crazier coaching carousels this past few weeks, and coaches moving, coaches opening. Like, there was a lot of potential there, and obviously Michigan now is faced to make this decision kind of after the fact. But at the same time, it also feels like they need to hire a somewhat of a blockbuster hire. Like, it has to be a guy. They can't afford any more bridges is kind of what I'm getting at. And the guy has to be the guy. And, speaking on DeBoer, I agree. Like, why leave? Like, same thing with Lane. Like, why leave a team that's literally competing for a national title to go to a team that honestly right now Michigan is a media frenzy. Like, it's kind of a hotbed of issues. But at the same time, when I think of DeBoer, I kind of see a 9-3. In Alabama, they're kind of on his neck a little bit for having a good year, not a great year, a good year. They made the playoffs, and I think if they didn't make the playoffs, it'd be a different conversation. But when you look around the board, I mean, they're going to have to draw somebody. I think, like you said, I think you drop a blank check off in Indiana. You say, Cignetti, name your price. You make him say no. I think you do the same thing. I know. You and every alum are thinking the same thing. Nope. But I think you have to find a coach that's going to give you kind of the output that Harbaugh did. 7-8 years, really get the program on the right track. And it's tough. I don't know who they're going to go for. I really don't.
Let's throw another name out there too, and one that's, again, a little bit outside the box, but you do wonder how much pull certain boosters, a guy like Dave Portnoy, for instance, has.
I love where you're going. I think I love where you're going to go with this.
Big check for Bryce Underwood, right? To kind of help bring a high profile quarterback in. Works with John Gruden.
He's already been vocal about this on social media.
I know. I saw that. I saw that. And John is incredible. He is an incredible football mind. His offense is not like most college offenses, right? We're not spreading it out in the gun and clapping and all that stuff. But I also, to a certain extent, think Michigan fans can resonate with that. It's a little bit more pro style, right? And that's what, when Michigan has been at their best, that's what they've been doing with Jim Harbaugh. Like, to me, I think you could do a lot worse than John Gruden.
I had this thought last night, the same thought, and John Gruden's coming to mind. I'm thinking, I'm like, well, you know what is Michigan? Because Michigan has to hire somebody that somewhat blemishes what just transpired. Like, the news of the new coach has to kind of push Sherrone.
Oh yeah, it's got to go away. Yeah,
and I think John Gruden is a great candidate for that. I mean, yes, kind of a polarizing figure, and he's had his exits at the Raiders and whatnot, but his kind of reintroducing to the internet and his persona, I think Michigan fans would get all on board. And you bring up a great point that I didn't even really consider: under center, pro style, developing the quarterback,
running the football.
Like, that's what Michigan lays their hat on at night. And I agree with John Gruden, outside the box, kind of get rid of some of this frenzy and bring him to be an interesting idea.
Because that offense doesn't work, I don't think would appeal everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, places that are just throwing it all over the place, the air raid, people that have been used to that sort of thing, like, they're gonna have a hard time, with 12 personnel, and with a couple of tight ends on the field, and all that kind of stuff. But I think Gruden I think he is ready for this next opportunity. I think he's been learning the college game and all that goes along with it. Boosters will absolutely love him. Donors will love him. He will get the money, and he can appeal to recruits. He's been doing it with his QB camp, right? Where he brings all the prospective quarterbacks in. He resonates with those guys. They know who he is. He has cachet. Like, I think there's a lot of positives to that.
I was going to say, you know who else would love it? Me, as a member of the media who gets to go to his press conferences and talk to that dude once a week at least. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names out there. We mentioned a few of them. Kalen DeBoer, Jedd Fisch. I mean, I really like the idea of Jedd Fisch coaching at Michigan. Grant, I know you know him personally and know him well, and have advocated for what he's done at Washington. So there's certainly some names out there. I was told they might already have the guy, and that it might be done relatively quickly. And I think that would probably be the best approach, but the timeline is just wacky with how all this played out. Grant, like you said, where the carousel had kind of come to a stop, really. At this, I mean, most of the jobs have been filled. Most of the guys have done their movement, and it was kind of an afterthought. And now here's Michigan, which may have been job 1A or 1B if it had been a couple weeks ago, alongside LSU. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Michigan does. I mean, dude, guys, we could talk. I talked for 90 minutes about this stuff last night on a live feed, so like, we could clearly spend all day talking Michigan, and Grant and I will probably do that at some point.
Yeah,